Well, A-League Couch Critic fans, welcome back to the show. I'm Brad. I'm joined by my intoxicated co-host, Samuel. He's only had a sip of wine, but he is done.
I'm cooked. No.
Cooked.
I'm about as cooked as Melbourne City are.
Yeah, they we'll get onto that. But anyway, thanks for joining us in this episode. It's been almost a week since the grand final, so we won't talk too much about the grand final because it happened quite some time ago. But some big news, obviously, Ange becoming the first Australian to coach Premier League team over there in England. So that's really exciting. But yeah, how about we just quickly talk? Yeah, and I've got the Japanese thing going here too, and you've got South Korea with Son Heung-min. So it's yeah, how much you pay for that? $10?
Yeah, probably.
Those raw of the jerseys. Anyway, let's talk about the grand final from Saturday night, where the Central Coast Mariners euthanized Melbourne City in front of 26,000 fans. I think that's probably the nicest way to say it. I think we both tipped City to win it. I think in my
I
heart
think
I wanted.
you tipped Mariners.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I was very reluctant. Like in my heart, I thought I'd love the Mariners to win, but I think deep down, I thought City will probably be too good. But hey, not only did they win, they won 6-1, and let's be honest, yeah, there would have been some people that thought they could get up in the grand final, but to score six, no, you're being a fool if you thought genuinely you thought they were going to get up 6-1.
But actually, somebody commented on uh, our preview pod, the day before the grand final, Mariners to win by 5. No joke.
Yeah, yeah.
Bloody cool.
I'm sure it's no
But
joke.
like,
It probably happened, but it was probably a joke.
whether you actually believe it or not, yeah, I think we both said it was going to be a tight, cagey match. Like both teams that can attack, both teams that love it. But it's not really going to happen. It's grand
Mm,
final.
yeah.
Bloody wrong. Like Mariners were they were up for the match. They were really,
Yep.
really up for it. And look, it helps when the majority of the stadium is on your side.
It probably
That
does.
that helps G you up a little bit.
And
Like
City probably got spooked by having so many fans at the game. They're probably not used to it. They're like, what are these things in the crowd?
no, they've played against Melbourne Victory before the bucket
Yeah.
incident, so
Yeah.
they've seen fans. But yeah, but Mariners, they were up for the match, weren't they? Like, I don't think they really put a foot wrong the entire match, and credit to them. Like, that's what we wanted. We wanted
Yeah.
them to take to City,
Yeah.
and they were smart about how they did it. Even in the second half, City came out and were dominating for a good period of time. They sat deep. Kautak was brilliant.
Mm.
Triantis brilliant, and then they hit them kind of on the counter. Jacob Farrell wins 2 penalties. Like, what an impact! And that just completely changed the game.
Mm.
Rather than him coming on to mark um Iran
No,
Kunda,
no,
he
yeah.
comes on and wins a grand final for his team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
also,
City went in, they hadn't changed their lineup. And I think there was probably a little bit of arrogance they went in because the way they played, I think they assumed the Mariners weren't gonna be so aggressive. They thought they were probably gonna sit back a bit and
yeah,
yeah, play the Mariners. They played the way they've played all year. And I still, and I think it probably goes to show. I think the Brisbane Roar era is probably the best era for a club team in the A League because they've been able to go on and win the grand final. I think that's probably the thing holding City back is yeah, they win the league, but they're still not performing when it actually matters. You can
yeah,
make the argument, should it be first past the grand final? Well, the reality is the grand final is the big thing, and they're not performing in it. Last year, they were awful in front of their own fans in Melbourne,
yeah.
and they didn't turn up, and the same things happened, except they're away from home.
Yeah,
Would
well,
it have been the same result in Melbourne? I don't know.
like you can
I think,
speculate all you want, but
yeah,
it wasn't. The game
yeah,
was where it was. You got to show up,
yeah,
no matter where a grand final is.
yeah.
You've got to show up on the day because, like that argument holds no stead if they finished second and hadn't won the rights to host the grand final. They would have been playing away anyway. Like
Mm,
the the venue at the end of the day actually doesn't change what happens
yeah,
on the pitch all that much.
yeah.
And you see, and this was our criticism last week of Melbourne City, 4 grand finals in a row, like that is a good achievement. They are up there in terms of teams,
Mm,
but like I say, they can't get it done
Mm.
when it matters most. And in Australian football, the grand final is when it matters most. And so it kind of goes Brisbane and Sydney FC are up here, and Melbourne City, fantastic squad, has been good, but they're just not quite going
Yeah.
to be remembered. They're going to be remembered as the team that couldn't finish, and that's unfortunate.
Mm.
It probably is a bit of a transition period now for both teams, I think. Obviously the Mariners are going to get a lot out of that success. Looks like Cumdog has gone to be Cumdog millionaire over in India.
Yep.
Waiting for confirmation, but it looks all but
Yeah.
sorted. Nectarius Triantis now over to the championship.
Sunderland.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe someone else, someone like a Sammy Silvera, who was just
Yeah.
brilliant grand final day. I think there could still be another transfer out of that Mariners side. But I think City are the team after this 4 years of dominance that they've had and not winning grand finals. I think next season could be difficult for them. They're losing by
And
all in
boss Marco Tilio,
yeah,
allegedly.
yeah, allegedly Tilio, allegedly Glover goes.
Mm.
Mm, who else are they going to move on? Berenguer seems to be on his way out.
Mm.
Like they're just not. I don't know
Yeah.
that. They doesn't seem like he's got the longevity to keep going. Um, if I was someone like a Curtis Good, I'd be going. Maybe this is the time to change clubs and go and win my championship, or head back overseas and have
Mm.
another crack. So lots of change, and from the sounds of the players they've sorted to bring in for next season, uh, I think the rumor is someone like a Terry Antonis. That doesn't sound like Melbourne City are going to
No,
stay at
that's a
the level they've
poor
been at.
signing if they do get Tarantonis. But previously
Yeah,
they've signed quite well, so I guess we'll see in the off season. But yeah, it could be an interesting off season for them. I still probably think they are the team to beat. What happens next year? But we also haven't seen what the players have signed. We're still months away from the start of the season.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's City. Yeah, what a disappointing grand final. Then what a success for the Mariners though, because
yeah, huge.
great crowd, 26,000. In fact, that's 4,000 more fans that were in Melbourne for last year's all Melbourne
Yeah,
grand finals. So the A-League managers were saying, "Oh, it's only 4,000 more fans." I said, "Yeah, but like." What if Melbourne City hosted that? I think we would have got a bigger crowd at Parramatta than Melbourne. But it probably should have been Melbourne. I'm all for the tradition, but the reality is it wasn't. And for both teams, they both had to travel. Yeah, Mariners had to travel an hour or two. Melbourne
yeah,
had to fly or drive half a day. But yeah,
yeah. And look, uh, crowd figures are nice.
mm,
And some people love to talk about crowd figures. At the end of the day, I don't think it's the most important. There's lots of factors that went into why the fans, who turned up and who didn't. We
yeah,
know all the factors, we've been through it. I don't think it really matters too much. Like, you know,
yeah. But you want to
play
have your
Argentina
showpiece.
and Australia
Mm,
in China and sell out a stadium.
yeah,
Uh, People turn up to football when they're invested in the product,
mm,
and the Mariners fans have gotten behind their team. And so hopefully that continues in next season. Crowd figures do show some health of a football club, yes,
mm,
but like Australian football needs to kind of pull our head out of the crowd figure ass
yeah,
and stop caring so much.
yeah.
Like at the end of the
I
day,
still think for your
let
grand
people have it.
final, yeah, I think still for your showcase grand final, you want a massive crowd.
Sure,
Um,
like
You do.
you know,
I think, for the NRL and the AFL, the biggest crowds are the grand final day. And I think we want to, for our marquee game, to get the biggest game we can in whatever venue. Um, if it's going to be in Parramatta, you want to sell it out. That's going to be difficult if someone like City and Adelaide play in a grand final, but
yeah,
that's just the reality we're going to have to face the next 2 years. It's not particularly an exciting reality for me, but listen, I think even though Mariners won 6-1, I still think it was an absolutely cracking grand final.
I think even if like you forget about the field and where it was. You look at the TV ratings, and they're not fantastic either. It was on live to air
Yeah,
TV.
it's been
Now Plus,
better than
it's
the games we're getting throughout the season, but still long term, it's you want to be getting better numbers than that.
Paramount Plus and Channel 10 have been a shambles. They've been absolute shambles. Could you walk into a pub and expect to watch A-League on any weekend? Absolutely not. Like, I reckon you have to fight pretty hard on Google to find a pub that can confirm they have Paramount Plus. Like, it's so detrimental. Like, I think the grand final decision is just another kind of symptom of how the APL has gotten its fan base so wrong. And they're fighting for the fans that for so long we've said they're not the people we should be trying to market to.
Mm.
I don't actually know who they think they're marketing to. Instead of just focusing on the product, making the A League better and actually getting people to care about their teams, that's what's going to drive engagement. That's what's going to drive, people to actually care. Yeah, I think you know, it's been a fantastic season. There's been so much that's been
Mm.
good, but there's been so much crap as well. And that's the life of an
Yeah,
Australian football fan.
yeah. Sounds like a good video idea for the future. Our top 5 things we can do to change the APL or whatever. But that we've got a long off season now, so we can shelve
We
that
got
idea. We
time.
could have a nice video for that down the track. But I think the big news for the week following the grand final is obviously Ange Postecoglou has become the first Australian to take on a Premier League team. And honestly, as someone that actually really despises Spurs, I think this is a really exciting move for him personally and for Australian football. Yeah. Samuel, thoughts?
Yeah, look, on the one hand, I'm a bit sad as a Celtic supporter that Ange is leaving because I think he had a decent crack at the Champions League this season, and
Mm,
and he got that taste of, okay, this is this Celtic squad. I know we're fighting.
mm,
There's teams that we probably could be level with,
mm,
and you saw him go into games and they were close.
mm,
And I thought with another season under his belt, another transfer window,
mm,
just fine tuning that team, I was excited to watch them have another crack at the Champions League. This Celtic squad.
mm.
I think it will still be interesting, but obviously with a new manager will come a new philosophy and things might change.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'm a bit sad as a Celtic fan, but I'm thrilled as an Australian football fan to see and actually watching some of look, people will be like, who's this? Stupid Australians, what do they know about football? But actually the majority of people have actually recognized this guy knows his football. This guy is a good
Mm.
manager. He's won everywhere he goes. And I think it's going to give some credibility to Australia. Now, obviously, we have to watch how he goes. He's been given, well, some reports say a 4-year contract, some say a
It
two,
is. It is 4 years.
4-year contract. Like, I know contracts are about, they're worth as much as toilet paper these days as a manager. But
Well, the paper was quite expensive for the past couple of years. Anyway, go on.
I really do hope that Spurs realize they're not the big club they think they are. They made it to one Champions League final. Like, that was great.
Mm,
Like, they've got money. They are a bigger club, but they're not. They're not a big club. They're not winning Premier Leagues. So just to realize where they are and have some patience, because I think what Ange has shown everywhere he's gone is the first season, like you're gonna have to ride your luck a little. And with Celtic, they were lucky enough to still push through and win the title there.
mm,
But like it's gonna take time. The squad that is at Tottenham at the moment, it's not ready to be an Ange Postecoglou squad.
mm.
So I really do hope he gets time. I hope he's not sacked within 4, 5, 6 months. If he can see through Christmas, if he can see through the first season, I think Tottenham will really, really benefit from it.
Mm.
Um, will they make the top four this season with Ange there? I don't know Premier League football well enough. To be honest, I don't really care. I'd rather watch the A League.
It's
But
because he's a Man United fan and his team sucks now after having 20 years of dominant success. He'll be off.
just
He'll be off the A League now because Sydney FC aren't that good anymore. So
I
you
just
watch
grew
him.
up and I didn't want to have to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch crap. I just want to watch my
I only
local
heard
team.
this argument after Man United when Sir Alex left, but sure.
That
No, that's
was
fair.
like
That's
10
fair.
years ago now, dude. That
Yeah.
was 10 years ago. I was still pretty young.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I think he's going to revolutionize the way they play. The way they played under Conte and under Mourinho is very negative, defensive, and I think that's worked for those two managers in the past. But I think Spurs want to play attacking football. They kind of want to be like Arsenal. They want to play sexy, gorgeous football. Tottenham secretly want to be Arsenal. That's why they
Oh,
built
yeah.
the stadium like the same capacity as Arsenal. But I think you talk about them not being a big club. No, but I think they should be a bigger club than what they have. They've got a fantastic stadium, one of the best in the Premier League. Um, they've got money behind them, but it's just their owner or chairman or whatever his name, Daniel Levy. He's very. I hope he gives Ange the time because
Yeah.
I think it can really work out for them. But they've got to give him time. And Daniel Levy doesn't strike me as the man to give them time. They've had 4 managers, I think, since they made that champ. They sacked Pochettino, who was one of their best managers in our
Yeah.
lifetime, just because of a slow start. They went through
Yeah.
2 transfer windows where they bought no one because Pochettino was not getting the funding to get the players he wanted. And then he got the flick because they weren't performing because they didn't change the team for a year. And they blame Pochettino. It's like, well, mate, you've got to spend money if you want to be successful in the Premier League. And they didn't. So
What's
give him
interesting
time,
is,
give him some money.
yeah,
Can he be challenged for the title? I don't know. It's Spurs and this Man City. I don't know if they'll ever challenge again, but
look,
I don't know.
he's going to bring that kind of football to Pep. And look, Pep's one of the greatest minds in football history. So will Pep be up for another team coming at him with that style of football? Absolutely. But is Pep susceptible? Is City susceptible to a team that can play football? Absolutely. Like we've watched Brighton revolutionize under De Zerbi, and that's been really exciting. To see another kind of attacking philosophy kind of minded manager, our own Ange in the Premier League is going to be great. I don't think he's going to have a lot of money, but that being said, not a lot of money for Tottenham.
Nah,
Is
we've got 150 million. It's not that much. We'll give you some loose change.
And look, if he's smart, he sells Harry Kane and gets, 80, 90 million out of that. And he buys like 6 players from obscure
Japanese
league.
clubs.
Yeah, and he's got some golden players who can play his style of football. Hopefully he keeps Son Heung-min because I think he could really be an awesome striker in an Ange.
I want him in Liverpool because he's being destroyed under managers like Mourinho and Conte. He's got to attack. He's so exciting when he goes forward. He was a shadow of his
He'll
former
love
self
Ange.
this year. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll love
And
Ange.
then maybe they'll get the guy from Celtic. Is it Fukahashi?
Go. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I, I
how he'd go.
I doubt he'll be able to. I think one, just respecting Celtic and not just taking everyone you built up there.
Yeah.
But 2, yeah, look,
And actually looking the level of what Scottish football is to the
it's a
English.
big jump. It's a
It's
big
yeah.
Yeah. So look, the player actually from Celtic, I think, could make the jump to a Tottenham.
Aaron
And
Moy.
no,
No.
look, Aaron Moy would be great, but no, I actually think it's the other Japanese midfielder, and now my mind has gone blank on his name. Japanese midfielder that was playing for Celtic.
Shinji Ono.
No, I wish.
Yeah, Sugito
Um,
Endo. Tomoki Iwata.
no,
Yuki Kobayashi. No, he's a
nope.
defender. Rio Hate. Rio
Yeah,
Hate.
Hatate, Rio
Hatate.
Hatate.
There you go.
I think he could be fantastic. He's an awesome footballer. So if there's one player that Ange signs from Celtic, I hope it's Rio Hatate. But yeah, it's exciting. An Australian manager, like we saw Kisnorbo go to France, first ever Australian manager in the top 5 league. fantastic. He's had an absolute shocker, and now he's back down in League Two.
Isn't Trois the team he's with? Aren't they like the City club over there? Isn't it the club?
They're
City
also
Club?
City Club.
So
Yes.
like, who knows? He only got that job because he was at City in Australia. But
Yeah.
I think,
But
yeah. I think it's good. It's super exciting for Ange. It's great to see. England's going to experience Ange ball. It's a really exciting time. Did you Smiv from on the road?
yes,
He's a season ticket holder for Spurs, and he did a little video, and I think he talked about. I don't think he was negative about it. I think he was just like saying, like, with everyone saying, I hope the board give him time, and he could play some really exciting football. And having the big manager, the last two managers with Conte and Mourinho, they've been big guys, and it hasn't worked. And he's kind of like, well, why don't we give this a go? Yeah. But will they be competitive? Will they be top four? I think Smith talked about, like, you got City who's going to win it for another 100 years, unless they get pinged for cheating. Then you got Newcastle United, who are just going to have all the money in the world now. You've got Liverpool and Chelsea, who are going to improve after poor seasons. You've got Arsenal, getting better every year. You said about Brighton before. It's like they're not a top six team anymore, Spurs. They're on the fringe now. And what are they going to have to do to get back into the top six? Hopefully Ange Ball's the answer.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's really exciting. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's a really exciting time for Australian football with Ange there. And I hope you all enjoyed the grand final. If you did watch, let us know what you thought of the grand final. Also, Raul Rasic passed away today. Big pioneer in Australian football, managing the first guy to take us to the World Cup in '74. So a nice link there between Postecoglou and Rasic there. So something, unless you have anything intelligent you want to add before the end of this video, we might wrap it up.
Look forward to watching some Women's World Cup in not too long. And I guess we're hitting off season. We'd love to chat a little bit about the national second division and what progressing there in our off season. We'll talk a little bit about clubs and some movements with players and when transfers kind of happen. But if you've got some ideas for videos that you'd like to, or podcasts that you'd like to hear us talk about, things you just want to hear the Couch Critics discuss, or if you want us to go to NPL matches or Australia Cup matches, let us know in the comments what you guys want to see, so that we can keep you entertained throughout the very long A-League off season. But thanks so much for listening.
Cheers.